From the center of town, I turn south towards the river. But I get distracted by the alluring aromas of food stalls across the street.
Alluring is an adjective. It means powerfully and mysteriously attractive or fascinating. And it was powerful and confusing for him, all those smells. There's so many interesting smells coming. The next word is aroma. It's a distinctively, typically pleasant smell. Something that you find attractive.
As I try to make culinary sense of what I see.
Another word for cooking. It's from the Latin word culinarius, from the Latin word culina, means kitchen.
The only food I recognize are triangular samosas.
For a tourist or for a foreigner, it's very strange for them, all these exotic Eastern foods. Some of them would not even know what is a momo. If they come to Manipur, they would not know what is iromba or singju or metam or mepo, but he could recognize samosas. Now another thing interestingly about Yangon street food is that the tea is free. You have to order something, of course. You don't have to pay for the tea. Tea is free.
A poised young Burmese woman gracefully glides by, effortlessly balancing a towering basket of melons on her head.
Melons, in this case watermelons on the head. You might have been familiar with this, how women carry things on their head all the time. Okay, now he goes on to describe how the women of Burma dress, or what is their dress sense.
It strikes me how modestly Burmese women dress, in tunic tops buttoned to the chin, ankle-length skirts.
Now it's very similar to what you would find in Manipur also. Even the design patterns look a little familiar. So what he says is that it's a very modest dress, a very traditional dress. Now what about the men? This is how the men would dress. In India we call it lungi. In Burmese or in Myanmar, it is called the long yi, Longyi.
I decide to forego street snacks, for now, to check out the Yangon riverfront. Once a busy port exporting rice and timber. Today it is a sleepy stretch of the Yangon River. The only traffic is a small freighter from Singapore and a creaky ferry. I stroll to the Panzodan jetty for a ride. The heat is building, but there is a breeze on the upper deck. As a bonus, I get a long view of Yangon. What is remarkable is its skyline, or rather lack of one. Most of the city's buildings rarely exceed 7 stories.
Okay, I'd like to make a small correction here. When he wrote this story, it was in 2014. At that time, Burma was just opening up. That means in the past, Burma was not very popular. People were not safe or not confident enough to go to Burma. Some changes came up and then the country started to open up. So at that time, Doug Culligan, in fact even Barack Obama even went to Burma there. So at that time, Burma was not well developed, and he said that the skyline was not very big. That means he didn't see any big buildings there. That is wrong. Let me correct that. Yangon is actually a very developed place. Let me start with that and then I'll take you to the river. Firstly, have an understanding of what Burma actually looks like. I'll show you videos from 2019. This is a drone video from 2019. You can take a look itself how big the buildings are. Who wants to go to Yangon?
I want.
Yes, why not? For the next generation, that is you. It's a good chance. 2014, when Doug Culligan went there, it wasn't like that. It was quite underdeveloped. In many ways, Manipur is underdeveloped now, but who knows, in future, this could be the Manipur of the future. And things are, I think, headed in that direction. We will have the Asian highway right through Burma, even up to Thailand. We have the railways coming up also. So going to Burma will be easier now. Right now, what is happening is that going to Burma is permitted just for one day for Indian nationals. That means you go to Moreh, you cross the border, you go to Nampalong or to Tamu, but you got to come back the same day. If you want to stay longer, you have to apply in the normal way, just like any other tourist, apply for a visa. But in future, I think very soon, and this is something the new generation, you all, have something to look forward to. Going to the next neighboring country, that is Burma, will be quite easy. And I do hope you get a chance to visit Yangon one day. Okay, let's move on to the next. Let us see the riverfront. From the center of town, I turned south towards the river. What river is he talking about? He's talking about the Yangon River. Now the Yangon River itself, where the river Irrawaddy or Ayeyarwady, it reaches the Andaman Sea. Burma itself has so many river systems. Now among them the biggest is the Irrawaddy or the Ayeyarwady. So this is essentially the same river, Ayeyarwady, but when it breaks up to the right and cuts through Yangon, then it is called as the Yangon River. What is a ferry terminal means it essentially it connects one side of the river or one bank of the river to the other bank. So the video that you saw just now is also the trip taken on a ferry across this river. It's quite a huge river from one side to another. Ferry is actually a big boat to carry not just passengers but also goods, cargo across water. It could be a small distance, it could be a little longer distance also. Sometimes you can call it as a water bus or a water taxi.